Hi guys, welcome. Today we are joined by the director and the writer of My Brilliant Apocalypse, Adrian. Would you like to start by just introducing yourself a little bit before?
Sure. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. So, my name is Adrian D'Aprano. I'm a writer, director, and producer of My Brilliant Apocalypse. Um, I've been in an eclectic journey through life, but always very passionate about storytelling and writing, um, exploring transmutation through storytelling and healing. And I'm also a performer. I love performing and playing different characters and embodying the soul and essence of another entity.
Oh, thank you so much. That was a very beautiful introduction. So let's
Lovely.
let's go into Let's get into the first juicy part of the interview. So, what is My Brilliant Apocalypse about? Can you tell us?
I certainly can. So, my Brilliant Apocalypse is a labor of love that has been on a journey of 23 years and counting of being brought to life. It started way back when as a stage adaptation of a Terry Southern novel and film called The Magic Christian, which I saw at that age, impressionable age when I was absorbing different artistic expressions. And it's a very little known book and film with big stars like Peter Sellers and Ringo Starr from the Beatles. And I watched it and I thought, wow, this is amazing. It was so psychedelic and so unique. And I thought this really deserves some more awareness around it. And the message of the Magic Christian really was the power of money that it has over people to corrupt them.
Mm.
And it was very relevant to those in those days, and kind of ironic that an excessive big production with Hollywood stars was trying to make a statement about money corrupting, right?
Mm.
But when I came to adapt it, I had this really incredible, magical, and unique experience where it was really like important to me to tell this story for some reason. You know, I didn't really analyze it. I was just burning to get this out there. And I kind of asked the muse, you know, I asked inspiration, like, what do I got to do to get this out here and tell this story? And the main character in The Magic Christian was called Sir Guy Grand, a British multimillionaire. And in that moment, he became Sir Barry Brilliant, an Australian media. Well, he was a media magnate back then. Now he's just a multi-billionaire, a really rich man-child. You know, he really symbolizes so much about masculinity, Australian culture, um, greedy, wealthy people who are destroying the planet and exploiting others. He stands for all the negative aspects of them, and he's a big soup of the negative aspects, right? Of these individuals that affect our lives every day, and we don't even know who they are, right?
Wow.
And I
Mm.
thought we'd play him as a buffoon, we'd play him as a bit of a comic character. Oh, no, very much he's a comic character, especially in part one. Um, as a catharsis, as a way to release our, you know, the old comedy adage is that the easiest target is the wealthy because the poor feel more empowered laughing at the wealthy, right? Um, so that's how he started, and then the story kind of became its own entity. I set it on board what I used to call the Magic Christian as a homage to the title, and I now call it the Wish Fulfillment for very pertinent reasons. Which back then was a luxury liner, an ocean liner. Now it's a space luxury liner. And I gathered all of Barry's friends and wanted to tell the essence of the story, but put it in our times. And back then it
Mm.
was the Mayan calendar, which was
Yeah,
this
different
bit
time.
of a fear propaganda. that the world was going to come to an end, right? At the end of that calendar, and now it's Agenda 2030, uh, where the fear is that the globalists are going to impart all these social credit systems and
Mm.
digital ID, digital currency, and our lives are going to be like a prison, right? So
Yes.
I'm now using Agenda 2030 is the date that Barry's spaceship flies out
Mhm.
to Mars on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
And yeah, so we that old story was sort of performed a few times. We did it three times on stage. It was put on ice. I became a father, and I gave up my creative expression for stepping up to be a dad. And this is the new evolution of my brilliant apocalypse. Back then, it was Barry's story,
Hmm.
and then in 2022, I'm actually sitting there with my son, and what's really powerful about the story of this expression is how there is this element that is outside of me, but in a part of me that is like workshopping this idea with me. And I sat there on Father's Day with my son, and he'd heard of Barry Brilliant. I told him that I'd done this show, and oh yeah, I've got to add, his mother was in the show. So I
Ah.
fell in love with my son's mother, really oddly, who played Barry's son in the show,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And so we fell in love, and she gave me my son. We had a son together. So I'm sitting there with Alex, my son, and I'm saying, wouldn't it be amazing if we saw Barry on the street one day? We were out in the city and we saw Barry Brilliant homeless. I'm like, that's a really interesting idea. And
Mm.
I just recorded a few words on it, and I'm like, damn, that's a really interesting idea. What if a character that you were destined to bring to life, and a creative expression that was your destiny. What if you abandoned it, but it was part of your destiny and it appeared one day. It showed itself. Because our creative expressions, when we suppress them, they start popping up out in the world. If we
Mhm.
don't run with them, someone else will. So I started writing my Brilliant Apocalypse Part One, The Return of Barry Brilliant, just running with that idea. And I think it's a very universally relevant and it's relatable. We all have something inside of us that we're here to create, whatever it is. For me, it's my writing. For someone else, it might be, a workshop retreat or music or ingenuity.
Mm.
And if we run around doing other people's, serving other people's visions and suppress that creative essence, I think that's a huge part of why people
Mm.
experience mental
Happy.
health issues,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And depression.
Mm.
So um, we cover those themes: creativity, mental health, even suicide, homelessness, because the author does run into Barry, and Barry has become homeless. He's gone from an uber rich billionaire in his universe
Mm.
to zero status in our world, and obviously looked at as mentally insane if he's thinking he's the world's richest man, but he's nobody in this world. And we get to put Barry through extreme paces and fire, and it became a really interesting story about how a really rich, powerful man would handle having to then all of a sudden be at the whims and mercies of
Mm.
an entire world. Like in this entire world, he's got no status. He's gone from full status to no status. How does he respond to that? Like, how does he interact with the homeless? How does he view them? Because the homeless take him in and embrace him and look after him. How does he interact with the police and the mental health system? And then eventually, when he comes face to face with his creator, the author, the guy who created him, how does he deal with him? So it's
Mm.
funny and it brings in a smorgasbord of topics and pertinent issues. And that became the beginning of the evolved My Brilliant Apocalypse series. It's called My Brilliant Apocalypse for Barry Brilliant, but the word apocalypse is used which covers the intention of the series, and that is to put in all the topics that make us feel powerless, frightened, yeah, disempowered, all the collective fears, all the worries about the powers that be. What are they doing behind the curtains? Are conspiracies real? Are they figments of our own imagination? And just put them all in a big buffet and a big smorgasbord and allow audiences to engage with them in a creative way, in a humorous way, and laugh and find a catharsis. So once we deal with the return of Barry Brian and the author gets on with writing the story, spoiler alert, but not really, then Barry's journey commences through parts two, three, and four, the wish fulfillment. Part three has a secret title. We're not allowed
Mm,
to
can't discuss
disclose
that.
that.
Top secret.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is top secret. We told you that it would just ruin part one and part two for you. So, and then part four, the worlds start colliding again. So the author's world and Barry's world and potentially other worlds start coming together. And part five is like our, for want of a better description, but our end game, right? Our Avengers end game that brings it all together, and they're the real essence of what the journey is trying to express to humankind. The solution. Parts one to four, we put the focus on the problem,
Yeah. Yeah.
and part five is right. Well, what is actually a viable solution for humankind right now? How are we going to navigate these times? What is being asked of us?
Mm.
And then once we work through that, then there's the full culmination, the full journey. Or the author and Barry's journey complete,
Mhm.
or is it? You'll have to find out.
Wow, that's amazing because you're trying to also cover many of the topics that maybe we don't really openly talk about as well. Um, how did you find that when you were writing? Like like how did you put it together? And yeah.
Well, yeah, confession, I'm not classically trained. I picked up a pen when I was two or three and just started writing, and
Mm,
that's just my modus operandi. Um, I just I run with an idea and then I just let what's there come through me. I consider myself really a typist and the muse dictates to me. So I interpret it, and I paint it with my own experience. Like I'll throw things in um, that are all me and my perception of reality. But I look back, Return of Barry Brian is a classic example of that. I look at that. That is just a totally out of my own, imagination
mm,
expression. It just came and landed in me. And I look at the way it ties things together and made things happen that I could never have dreamt about. And I just really am blown away by what we can receive as humans creatively.
Absolutely. Wow,
Yeah.
thank you so
So
much.
it's just about showing up and the discipline to really just keep making space for it to come through and edit, Dutchy. That's the most important part. Clean it up and edit and remove all the bits that are
Mm,
you and not it.
of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. So beautiful to listen to you talking about journey of how like this clearly is very personal. And when you shared about your how you met your wife and now your son is in the play.
Well, not my wife, not my wife.
Oh, sorry,
We
my
we,
sorry.
we split up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's very beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And can you talk a little bit about what can we expect? So I think you've got a live performance and you've also got audio plays. Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we are an independent, well, you and me and everyone else that helps and comes for the ride. My Brilliant Apocalypse is an independent and self-funded production at the moment.
Hmm.
So each part of the five parts of the series will be created first as an audio play,
Mm,
which is a really unique and I think neglected art form
mm,
because all the sets and the characters' faces and the costumes, they're all in your imagination. We provide the words and the voices and the sound effects, and you build the picture in your head. So
Wow.
it suits this series because obviously, like to create this and bring it to life would cost millions. Um, it really suits this narrative, and yeah, it will be a really enjoyable and unique ride to experience. So I also my background is stage. I love the theatre, and there's also a stage version of all of these. Just I think stage is a great way to experiment with the text and get it on stage and get people's
Mm.
reactions and see what works and what doesn't. So we've done one version of part one on stage, and we'll be coming back and doing that again in the next 6 to 12 months. We're working on that in pre-production, but all each part will go through that process. So
Wow.
yeah, you'll have an audio play that'll be available, and as well as an opportunity to see it live in Melbourne. And
Nice.
then ultimately, this is a film or a TV series, you know.
Mm.
It really that's its journey to come to life and be seen by hopefully millions of people.
Wow, thank you so much. And where can we find out more information about this?
Yeah, you can go to the website, www.mybrilliantapocalypse.com, and that's got everything. So yeah, it's a very, um, it's got yeah, very comprehensive website. So
Thank you.
yeah,
And lastly, before we finish, like, can you talk a little bit about what would you like the audience to take away from this, from my
yeah,
brilliant apocalypse?
that's a great question
Mm,
because it's called My Brilliant Apocalypse for a reason. It's mine, it's yours, it's everybody's.
mm,
Why is it brilliant? It's a play on words. Apocalypse instantly brings the connotation of darkness and the end of the world and fear. However, the traditional definition of the word apocalypse comes from the Greek origin, not traditional, yeah, the original. And apocalypse literally means the end of an era, um, the end of an era, and like the realization or the awakening of humanity due to information that was suppressed coming to light. That's literally an awakening. Yeah. And
mm,
it's interesting that that word has been inverted. And whereas the mass majority of people think that that's a really bad thing, but apocalypse really, in the original sense, is a great thing. It's wisdom and
yeah.
our full potential coming to light. So,
Mm,
literally, this journey for everybody is whatever is there for each person. You know, is it something to come along and watch and laugh and have a huge catharsis and cry and release and uncover their truest selves, or are they going to come and hate it? We had a lot of people hated our last show because it illuminates a lot of stuff in the shadows, and that's very really confronting for people. They
mm,
may not be ready to look at
um,
it, let alone
mm,
laugh at it and and
mhm.
and move through it. So it's really a very a fluid thing, you know. It's whatever that person is going to experience, and um, inevitably, it's the intention is to support people's healing and evolution ultimately. So
Wow, that's very beautiful. Thank you so much. Yes, guys, if you want to support us and my Brilliance Apocalypse project, please visit our website. And how do we like if let's say that someone wants to sponsor you, how can they reach out to you? Is it?
yeah, well, you can fill out the form on the website or contact me directly at Barry. Sorry, to Barry at mybrilliantapocalypse.com. And no, I'm not Barry, I'm Adrian. A lot of people call me Barry. It's we're bringing the enigma to life. We're creating the mythology. But yeah, Barry at mybrilliantapocalypse.com. We're all about creating relationships long term with people who get our vision, who understand and resonate with what we're doing. And we're on the same team and we can support each other. So, how can our vehicle support you and how can you support us? Yeah, that's what we're looking for relationships.
Wow, thank you so much for your time today, Adrian. And guys, stay tuned. Check out the website. Stay tuned for the live audio and sorry, the audio play and the live performance coming soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dutchy. Thanks, everyone.